Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chief Judge Victoria Rossetti of the 19th Judicial Circuit in Lake County, Illinois, and welcome to your Courthouse at Work. This is where judges tell the story of how justice is administered in our county. In this episode, we are featuring our new Veterans Court. The idea is that intensive court monitoring by a team of professionals will help people who have served our country in the armed forces stay out of trouble with the law now that they are home. Veterans Court is now available for some of our nation's former soldiers who are charged with crimes here in Lake County courts. These defendants have been successful in the military, and Veterans Court takes advantage of that capability. With the structure provided by the Veterans Court team, we think that we can restore the individual to useful citizenship. And Veterans Courts all across the nation bear this out. I think you will be very impressed with what you see. In our Legal Updates segment, Judges Veronica O'Malley and Tom Shippers have important information about changes in statutes you should be aware of. Finally, Judge John Phillips tells us the story of therapy dogs and their important role in society and in some of our courts. This will be a great episode, so stay tuned.
It's a pretty chilly morning here in Lake County, Illinois, but certainly nowhere near as cold, nowhere near as uncomfortable, and certainly nowhere near as dangerous as the places in the world where our men and women of the armed forces presently serve to preserve the freedoms and the way of life that we have here in this country. Hello, I'm Judge John Phillips.
And I'm Judge Mark Levitt. We're here at this memorial in Lake County that was built to honor those who served our country. We're here to talk about a new program that we've instituted here in Lake County. It's called the Veterans Treatment Assistance Court, or VTAC for short. This program was approved by the Lake County Board and unanimously approved by our colleagues, the circuit judges in Lake County, to help those and honor those who've served our country.
In partnership with the Lake County State's Attorney's Office, with the Veterans Administration, with the Lake County Department of Health, the Public Defender's Office, the Veterans Assistance Commission of Lake County, NACASA, and many others, our program is designed to help veterans and screen all veterans that come into the criminal justice system. Because of the experiences that they have had in combat, in their military experience, and in life, the programs that we have may be able to assist them.
The VTAC program gives eligible participants the chance to avoid a criminal conviction. They do this by agreeing to enter this program, agreeing to the extensive treatment that's available to them through the VA, and all the services that we can provide them through the court administration.
Now, very unique to our program is what we call our mentoring component. We have enlisted the aid of veterans who have served in many services, and they have been trained. A mentor will be assigned to each of the participants, and that mentor will serve as an ally, as a guide, and certainly perhaps as a super sponsor as these people go through the process from beginning to end.
Eligible participants who are screened for our program agree from the very first day, after consultation with their attorneys, to go ahead, sign our contract, come into our program, and agree to be treated by the individuals that are assigned to them. From the very first day that they're in our program, they're assigned a peer mentor. They're also given extensive treatment opportunities through the VA that encompass just not only them, but also their families. They see the judge, which is Judge Phillips and I, at least once a month, in addition to meeting with their probation officer and other team members on a weekly basis.
When they make it through the program, hopefully then they're going to get the services and then a continued support system that will help them and their family so that these kinds of behaviors are going to be avoided. We'd like you to join us now back in the courthouse, where we can introduce you to the awesome team that has come together to perform these services. And they'll tell you a little bit more about what they do and what we expect from this Veterans Treatment and Assistance Court.
I'm Stephanie James. I'm the Veterans Justice Outreach Coordinator from the Captain James A. Lovell Federal Health Care Center.
I'm Roxanne Garza. I'm the Veterans Court Probation Officer, and I serve in the U.S. Army.
I'm Lieutenant Dave Wathen with the Lake County Sheriff's Office.
I'm Stan Villarreal. I'm a volunteer with Veterans Assistance Commission of Lake County. I'm a volunteer mentor with the Veterans Court. I served in the United States Marine Corps.
I'm Raymond Davis. I'm with the Veterans Assistance Commission. I'm a mentor, and I serve with the United States Army.
I'm Jim Gamble, volunteer for Lake County Probation Department and a Veterans Court volunteer for a mentoring program and served in the United States Air Force.
I'm Larry Carrier. I'm a peer mentor and I served in the U.S. Army.
I'm Kirby Wagner. I am a peer mentor and I served in the Naval Air Reserves.
I'm Steve Fabry. I'm an assistant director with the Lake County Probation Department assigned to specialty courts.
I'm Tom Myers with the Lake County Public Defender's Office.
I'm Ken LaRue with the Lake County State's Attorney's Office. I served in the U.S. Navy.
I'm Nicole Titone, Court Services Coordinator of the Lake County Probation Volunteer Program.
I'm Marie Honeywell. I'm a volunteer mentor for the Lake County Veterans Court, and I've served in the U.S. Army.
I'm Kathy Neville. I work at Fleet and Family Support Center at Great Lakes Naval Station.
I'm Zach Larson with the Lake County Probation Field Supervision Unit.
I am Nestor Evaristo, a surveillance officer with Lake County Adult Probation and currently serving as a Master Sergeant with the United States Air Force Reserve.
I'm Elizabeth Risley. I'm a volunteer at the Lake County Veterans Assistance Commission and a peer mentor with the Veterans Court and retired United States Navy.
I'm Elizabeth Thielen and I'm a director at NICASA.
My name is MJ Hodgins. I'm project coordinator for Lake McHenry Veterans and Family Services, and I'm a veteran family member.
In all the treatment courts, we've seen tremendous success. Veterans Court is like way beyond anybody's wildest imaginations in terms of reduced recidivism, reduced costs to the county, reduced bed days in the jail, and of course the most important thing is that the improved quality of life of the veterans who come through the program.
I coordinate the Volunteer Probation Support Program for the county. So I have right now about 130 volunteers, all different ages, backgrounds, professional backgrounds, that mentor both juveniles and adults that are placed on moderate to low risk probation here in Lake County. We go through an application and interview process with the mentor. We find out what it is that they're looking to get out of the program. We share what we want as well, our expectations. We also find out a little bit more about their personal history, their professional background, and anything that they can bring to the table to help make this program more successful. So I think we'll be looking for the same attributes in the Veterans program as well.
My position here is I'm the Veterans Court Probation Officer. What I do is I ensure that the clients are compliant with their treatment and their court orders. I maintain weekly contact with them either through scheduled office visits, I do random home visits, or via telephone. I do test them for drugs and alcohol, and I verify any prescriptions that they may be on. I do weekly record checks. I myself am a veteran of the military. I did serve in the Army for about 8 years. I was deployed for Operation Iraqi Freedom from 2003 to 2004, and I feel as a veteran I'm able to build this rapport with my clients because I've been there. I know exactly what it feels like to come home from either a tour of duty or a mission and just be unsure, like what's the next step, where do I go from here, who can I talk to? So I think that's great. So my goal as a VTAC probation officer is to help them engage and help them prepare and just get them ready for a law-abiding life.
At our agency, we provide counseling services for individual, marital, family. We also provide job services, assisting people with writing resumes, interviewing, letting them know what jobs are available. We also provide counseling for financial, budgeting, that sort of thing. We also have a program that we provide for the active duty and their families for domestic violence services. We have a program for sexual assault, intervention, prevention, but primarily my role sitting on the committee is to provide input regarding clinical services available at the base, also my clinical opinions, also letting them know services available to our vets who have already been discharged from the military. So we don't only provide for active duty, but also for our vets.
Our program is through the Lake County Health Department, and we have a 5-year grant to transform the way services are provided to veterans, service members, and their families. This Veterans Grant is a perfect example of that kind of transformation. making a difference in the way behavioral health services are provided to people who may have traumatic issues due to their military service. Our role here in the program is mostly to provide support and services and counseling to family members of the Veterans Court participants. We know that their behavioral health issues and their legal issues have a significant impact on the families. And what our job is to take care of the family and help them stabilize, help them get the services they need to support them while the veteran is going through treatment. And this allows the veteran to then focus on his treatment and his recovery and not worry about his family.
What the VA provides is inpatient and outpatient treatment for substance abuse, for post-traumatic stress disorder, for homelessness, unemployment, domestic violence, and anger management. What we're seeing right now with the recent conflicts that are veterans that are coming back, a rise in post-traumatic stress disorder, a rise in domestic violence issues, a rise in addiction. So we're working along with the Lake County Circuit Court to try to address these issues.
NICASA works closely with Veterans Court participants through our Family Advocacy Center. Funded by the Department of Children and Family Services, participants receive extensive case management, parenting education and support, child care services as needed, and referrals to other agencies such as food pantries, emergency aid and housing, and medical and mental health care. Additionally, we help clients navigate the multiple agencies that they are working with.
We're back in the Lake County Courthouse, and we are so pleased to have with us right here in one of the courtrooms the Chief Justice of the Illinois Supreme Court, Thomas Kilbride. Mr. Justice, thanks for taking a few minutes out of a very busy trip in a day to talk with us a little bit about one of the programs we have going on here.
Well, across the board, let me just say this, that I think Lake County's ahead of the parade, so to speak, and you're to be complimented for all you're doing here in Lake County. And really, as a general statement, with mental health courts, drug courts, and now the veterans courts, it's a fabulous, I mean really fabulous concept.
I was active for 7.5 years in the U.S. Navy, and I've currently been in reserves for 16 years. I'm the commanding officer of a Navy intelligence unit at the Pentagon. Why do we need Veterans Court? I just returned from a mobilization to Iraq. While in Iraq, I had a number of individuals working for me. I saw the rigors and the difficulty people face during their deployments to Iraq, whether they're in combat or in a support role. I realized that the world continues to go on while these individuals are serving while deployed. Upon their return, I've also heard about the maladaptive behaviors that these individuals engage in, bad decisions as a result of what they've faced being away from their loved ones. I think Veterans Court is important to allow them to readjust their lives, to get back on track, to have a future, not risk a great future, because at one time they did volunteer. They are outstanding members of our community, and I think Veterans Court will allow individuals who have served to get a second opportunity if needed.
Well, obviously they've given a big part of their life to this country, to us, to the citizens. They've made a sacrifice. I think they need a little extra help.
I don't think most people understand what happens to a veteran. When you join the service, you basically are writing a blank check to the government for anything and up to and including your life. And I think people need to understand what these guys go through. You really never know what's going to happen, and they really need a second chance and an opportunity to try to get their lives on track.
Veterans Court's the right thing to do because, as we've seen, many of the service members that come into the criminal justice system are there as a result of substance abuse, mental health, or anger management issues, all of which may be connected to their service to this country. Now, as veterans, they have access to specialized treatment through the VA healthcare system, and having a Veterans Court allows us to bring that specialized treatment into the legal process while still seeking justice on behalf of the citizens of this county.
Vet Court is the right thing to do because all veterans can benefit from their experiences with other veterans and continue to contribute to the citizens of our great country.
Veterans Court is the right thing to do because we need to honor our veterans, all of our veterans, but especially our troubled veterans.
Because these men and women have served our country honorably in our time of need, often at great sacrifice to themselves. They have earned and deserve our respect and our support in their time of need.
Veterans Court is the right thing to do because if they can give their life for us, then we surely can give back to them.
Veterans Court is the right thing to do because it puts the veteran back on the right path.
Because they stood for us, we now need to stand with them.
Veterans Court is the right thing to do. Our veterans have served honorably the United States of America, and now it's our turn to service them and to assist them with their needs.
Because my father was a World War II veteran and is interred in Arlington National Cemetery, I do this for him.
Because as the military has the creed of no man left behind, so should we, as a society, avoid leaving our veterans alone and abandoned just when they need us most.
Our Veterans Treatment and Assistance Court is the right thing to do because just like us, they swore to uphold and defend the Constitution that gives us all of these privileges. Together with this wonderful team, with the help of the community and all of you watching, we're going to do our very best to live up to our borrowed motto, leave no veteran behind, not in the field or back at home.
With the holidays, homecoming, and prom upon us, parents beware. Adults who host underage drinking parties can be held both criminally and civilly liable for injuries and damages caused by minors under the influence. Hello, I'm Judge Veronica O'Malley.
Hello, and I'm Judge Tom Shippers.
This episode of Legal Updates will focus on Illinois' social host laws that address underage drinking. We will begin by looking at the possible criminal sanctions a person can face. Judge Shippers?
As most people know, it is illegal for anyone under the age of 21 years to possess or consume alcohol. But as a result of numerous crashes concerning young people and alcohol, sometimes resulting in death, the Illinois legislature is now subjecting parents and guardians who allow underage alcohol consumption in their homes to potential criminal liability and even jail. In Illinois, it is unlawful for any parent or guardian to knowingly permit alcohol to be used or provided to persons under 21 who are guests of his or her child. A person convicted of this crime faces a mandatory minimum $500 fine. The individual could also be sentenced to up to 1 year in jail, be fined an additional $2,000, and be placed on probation. Where the charge directly or indirectly results in great bodily harm or death to a person, a parent or guardian can be charged with a felony, and that felony is punishable by 1 to 3 years in the Department of Corrections. Not only can the parent or guardian who violates this law end up incarcerated, they can also face severe civil penalties.
As to civil liability, there is the Drug or Alcohol Impaired Minor Responsibility Act. This act allows a lawsuit for money damages to be brought against any person 18 years of age or older who willfully supplies alcohol to a person under 18 years of age in their home or elsewhere. If the consuming minor becomes impaired and causes death, injuries, or property damages, there is liability under this law. This lawsuit must be brought within 2 years, and the economic damages sought can be for the cost of treatment, rehab, medical expenses, loss of economic or educational potential, and other pecuniary losses. In addition, non-economic damages can be sought for physical, mental, emotional pain and suffering, impairment, disfigurement, loss of companionship, to name a few. Even the cost of bringing the lawsuit, including attorney and expert fees, are recoverable by the injured party or parties. So host parents and adults, beware. Given the heightened scrutiny over the dangers of underage drinking, never serve alcohol to minors. This is Judge Veronica O'Malley.
And I'm Judge Tom Shippers reporting on Legal Updates.
Court is back in session. The jury has returned. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I would ask you if you have reached a verdict. I have never had a jury like this sitting in my courtroom here in Lake County, Illinois. Hi, I'm Judge John Phillips, and I'd like to introduce you to Susan Knack. And also with us here this morning is Bailey. Right behind me is Kubla, and over there is Sunny. And we're here to talk about therapy animals today. Susan, thanks very much for joining us
Happy
today.
to be here.
Can you tell me a little bit about these guys?
They're, two of the dogs are Leonbergers. Bailey is a mixed breed, Collie and Bernese Mountain Dog. They are all certified therapy dogs. They have been for over 5 years. And between the three of them, they have over 4,500 visits.
Wow. Tell me what a therapy dog is.
A therapy dog is certified to be certain that they are obedient and that they are fearful and that they can walk into most any situation and be calm and confident.
Okay. And do they have some kind of special training in order to do that?
The training is really not the issue. The testing is the issue. I trained all of my dogs. I know a lot of people that do use trainers. The biggest difference that a therapy dog is from any standard dog is they need to be very desensitized.
Okay. How long have you been doing this?
6 years.
What exactly kind of training do you do to get a dog called a therapy dog?
Basic obedience, and then, like I said, as much desensitization as you can muster. I failed to desensitize Kubla to balloons, so we avoid them as best we're able because it doesn't work very well. But other than that, they really just need to be able to be around any equipment or large crowds, kids screaming.
Okay. Have you ever heard of any use that therapy dogs are made of in the court system?
Absolutely. There's a big program in California where children that have to testify against their offenders are allowed to meet a dog 20 to 30 minutes before they have to go into the courtroom, and they can take the dog with them into the witness box.
Okay, I know in cases that I've had with child victims, I've had them with dolls, holding on to dolls. I've even had children sitting next to me while they testified as well. So I can see how, would somebody like Bailey behave pretty well sitting in a courtroom next to a child on a witness stand?
Absolutely. The dogs that you can't see in the picture are all very good at laying down and being still and quiet.
You're pretty good at doing that, huh?
And what they do for people is, we all know, there are several studies where they lower people's blood pressure. Once your blood pressure is lower, you can focus better.
We have a new program that we started, and in fact it's the feature of our program, and that's our Veterans Court. Post-traumatic stress is something that our veterans, children, everybody is going to suffer from. How can you see that assisting veterans who are going through different kind of therapies?
Very much in the same way as the kids. They have a friend with them. They have someone that's their protector. They have someone that they know is on their side.
Okay. How many hours does it take to train dogs to behave this calmly? You know, a lot of our viewers, myself, we all have dogs, but I don't think I've ever seen a dog that would just lay at my feet like this. I imagine I could have my whole court call and Bailey would sit there right by my side.
Absolutely, right? He would. It is a lot of training. I would say it's a full year, a full-time job of training, and just constant repetition and being consistent.
Well, Susan, to you, certainly to Bailey here, to Kubla, and to Sunny, I can't thank you enough for joining us here in the courthouse in Lake County, Illinois, to us today. This has just been enlightening. It may change the way that I'm going to handle my court calls from now on, if these guys are able to come and visit now and then. But we hope in our project with Veterans Court to actually be using therapy dogs, and you've opened our eyes tremendously, and I can't thank you enough.
Thank you so much for having us. We love being here.
So on behalf of all of us, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us today. I'm Judge John Phillips, talking about pets, animals, and therapy dogs in the courtroom.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Your Courthouse at Work. Every day at the courthouse, we try to serve the people of Lake County with integrity, with competence, and in a way that makes every citizen confident in their judicial system. I hope that what we have shown you today explains that. And so from the 19th Judicial Circuit in Waukegan, Illinois, I am Chief Judge Victoria Rossetti, and I thank you for watching.